The 7 Deadly Sins is a classic interpretation of 7 basic concepts that will lead your soul to ruin. The sins include envy, a desire to have others' successes; gluttony, desire for excess; greed, the desire for certain things; lust, a desire for pleasure; pride, a desire for attention; sloth, desire for rest; and wrath, desire for harm. These 7 sins have embodied what it means to have eternal death. Likewise, there are 7 heavenly virtues, a good counterpart to each of the 7 sins. The very concept of the 7 deadly sins can be carried over time, with the modern era being influenced from popular culture, including literature, film, and television, especially in animation. And today, we'll be looking at some of the most prolific characters in the medium that best represents each sin, as well as finding out their good counterpart that balances the sin evenly. Starting off with the least deadly, lust. Lust is an intense desire for something that doesn't have material existence. This is most commonly understood as a sexual desire for another, but is also known to have desire for power, respect, knowledge, and even attention that one can lust after. The greatest example of this comes from Judge Claude Frollo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Frollo is a powerful justice minister who becomes the begrudged caretaker of the deformed Quasimodo. Apart from his political authority, Frollo is also a religious zealot with an intolerance for sinners, especially the Romani people, who he considers the most heinous and tries to eradicate their race. Frollo has performed such violent acts throughout his life, but using his justification as a loyalty to God. While this does make him a more prideful villain at the beginning of the story, his obsession of lust becomes much more broader and much more destructive. Though Frollo initially appears as a man of great intellect and religious devotion, all that comes to a halt when meeting Esmeralda. During the Festival of Fools, Esmeralda playfully humiliates the judge publicly by kissing the tip of his nose before pulling his hat down. Also, while standing up for Quasimodo, she has the courage to rebel against Frollo for his actions of intended genocide of her people. This, however, intrigues Frollo, blooming his obsession with her. His relationship with Esmeralda is not merely physical, it represents a dangerous mix of desire, power, and control. His inability to reconcile his feelings with his moral beliefs leads to overwhelming turmoil. His lust is both sexual and psychological, as he desires to possess Esmeralda completely, believing that she is the source of his internal suffering. Rather than acknowledging his emotions and finding a better way to cope, he allows them to fester into obsession. He thinks she is to blame for his weakness, and leads him to act violently in an attempt to control both her and his emotions. It becomes even worse when Esmeralda rejects Frollo multiple times, and Frollo ends up attempting to burn her at the stake with a crowd to watch as Paris crumbles before them. Frollo's lust manifests in cruel ways. Instead of seeing Esmeralda as an individual without a body, he treats her as an object, a possession. As his obsession deepens, he discovers moral decay as he abandons his religious devotion and duties of a protector, and resorts to acts of violence. He exemplifies that the idea of lust leads to personal ruin and inflicted harm on others, and his downfall serves as a cautionary tale of the destructive nature of misguided passion. But while lust may lead to destruction, the complete opposite can be said for its differentiation, chastity. Chastity is the ability to overcome temptation and show self-discipline. The conscious decision to better yourself rather than to do what is morally wrong. Abstaining from sexual conduct according to one's state in life. And I think what better to represent chastity than from a classic Peanuts character, Schroeder. Now look, this may be iffy, since Schroeder, as many other characters in the strip, are kids. Therefore, none of them are really going after sexual desires. However, that doesn't mean that there's some romance going on. Schroeder is a piano-playing prodigy who idolizes the likes of classical musicians, with Beethoven being his hero. Since Beethoven was a lifelong bachelor, Schroeder feels the need to do the same, therefore rejecting any interest coming his way. This is extremely evident in the character of Lucy, who is infatuated with the child prodigy, and constantly flirts with him, and professes her love while leaning on his toy piano. Now, while this doesn't prove that Schroeder is celibate, it's worth noticing he's the only consistently recurring character who doesn't have any romantic interest in the strips or the cartoons. His firm boundaries and disciplined nature all reflect the ideals of chastity, more as a broader principle of purity and dedication. Schroeder stands apart from his peers due to his intense commitment to his craft. While others are preoccupied with friendships or crushes, Schroeder remains singularly focused on his passion in classical music. His chastity isn't just about avoiding romantic entanglements, but also providing artistic purity. Taking a look back at his relationship with Lucy, it's clear that Lucy persistently pursues him, openly declaring her love and trying to draw attention away from his piano. But Schroeder always rejects her, not out of cruelty, but to his commitment to his priorities. Why engage in romantic relationships when one's true devotion is into music? Schroeder serves as the modern embodiment of the term chastity. It reminds people that one's devotion and passion can become a virtue. Schroeder exemplifies a life of clarity and intention, avoiding anything that does not align with his higher pursuit of musical excellence. It's his commitment to living a life of purpose that makes him a standout in virtue. Moving on to the next sin, we have gluttony. Gluttony has since been associated with overeating, which is a start, but theologically, it applies to overconsumption of pretty much anything. Taking more of your share is a key part, as is also wasting the excess. It's also equated with any addictions in modern times too, whether it be actual drugs or something more of a spending habit. Now, it can be said that gluttony would fall under any villainous obese person, but there's one fictional character that has better tendencies of this sin, and that has to go to the infamous No-Face from Spirited Away. No-Face is a mysterious spirit whose journey serves as a cautionary tale about unchecked desire and overindulgence. Introduced as quiet and lonely, No-Face seemingly feels like a character looking for companionship. He begins to develop an interest in Chihiro for her sincerity. The bathhouse she works in, however, is a much different story. No-Face quickly got exposed to the corruptive thoughts of the workers, and grew to encompass their personalities. When the spirit enters the bathhouse, he begins consuming vast amounts of gold, food, and yes, even people. Deluded enough by the greed that surrounds the bathhouse, No-Face pays with gold to eat just about anything in there. His appetite spirals out of control, transforming him from a calm spirit to a monstrous being. The sudden change in No-Face symbolizes the corruptive nature of gluttony, and how his indulgence can warp an individual beyond recognition. This sin even extends beyond the spirit's hunger, as he consumes everything that is offered to him, including wealth and admiration. It's worse when the workers encourage his self-indulgence, as they just want to feed him for more gold. But despite accumulating food and riches, No-Face remains unfulfilled. It no longer brings satisfaction, only greater instability. He lashes out in frustration, leading to chaos rather than contentment. It is only until Chihiro intervenes, refusing to his indulgences, yet showing kindness, that makes No-Face change back. He is then led a path from Chihiro to be more moderate and find balance. No-Face's journey serves as the consequences of gluttony that leads to instability, and his transformation to get out of the habit feels more rewarding in the end. Through his character arc, it acts as a warning against the dangers of excessive consumption, and highlights the values that fulfillment is not found in endless indulgence, but in a life lived with balance and purpose. But while No-Face has since got out of his sin at the end of his arc, what about a character that has always stuck to their vows and controlled their temptations? This is where temperance comes in. Temperance comes from the constant mindfulness of others and one's surroundings. They practice self-control, abstention, moderation, and deferred gratification. A remarkable character that fits that bill is our avatar Aang from The Last Airbender. Aang is not only the last airbender of his kind, but is also tasked to be the new avatar, bringing balance to the world. Throughout the series, Aang has consistently demonstrated self-restraint and harmony, two qualities that best benefit the definition of what temperance is all about. While his journey has been filled to the brim with challenges, both physical and emotional, Aang consistently embodies the virtue of moderation and balance. His ability to control his emotions, resist temptations of power, and maintain harmony in his actions stand out when being put on a pedestal as the new avatar. Aang is pretty strong, able to bend all four elements, but he never abuses these abilities, as his vow of seeking resolution over violence is his main priority. He understands that true strength lies not in domination, but in balance. Take his final battle with Fire Lord Ozai. Rather than retorting to killing like what Ozai would do, Aang seeks an alternative, ultimately using a technique called energy bending to remove Ozai's abilities instead. He risks his soul to do so, but he ends up being able to keep it and save the world. Even beyond his role as Avatar, Aang's lifestyle is rooted in moderation. As an airbender, he embraces simplicity, avoiding any material indulgence. He's got a vegetarian diet, and a peaceful approach to life. And let's not forget the relationships he has with his crew, especially Katara, who Aang has a respect for and liking to. But he doesn't let his infatuation cloud his judgment or interfere with their mission, instead holding their relationship built on a basis of understanding and harmony. Aang stands as an ideal pick for temperance, and through his restraint on power and emotion, he demonstrates why moderation and harmony are important to maintain. He acts as an enduring lesson to many that shows that true strength lies not in excess but in pure balance. Moving on to our next sin, we have greed. Greed includes the typical hoarding of money, but also spending it pointlessly as well. While there is nothing wrong with simply attempting to earn more money to make oneself better off, greed applies when one attempts to garner ever greater amounts of possessions and money simply for the sake of having more than everyone else. Look no further than the richest crab in Bikini Bottom, Mr. Krabs. Mr. Krabs is the money-obsessed owner of the Krusty Krab, and has been one of the most recognizable embodiments of greed in pop culture. Defined by his insatiable love for money, Mr. Krabs takes his obsession with wealth to major extremes. He frequently prioritizes profit over ethics and underpays his two employees, SpongeBob and Squidward, despite their dedication to the Krusty Krab. In fact, there have been 2 episodes where Mr. Krabs has flat out used his greed to obtain more in the process. One instance sees the crab using jellyfish that SpongeBob caught and milking out most of their jelly as a new condiment for his Krabby Patties. When they reach a new success, he decides to build a factory torturing and murdering these jellyfish for more profit. And of course, the most infamous sin sees Mr. Krabs selling SpongeBob over to the Flying Dutchman for a grand total of 62 cents, something that even Squidward is shocked to see. Let's also mention the times when he tried to charge customers just for breathing in the restaurant, or exploiting his daughter Pearl for money, or his deceptive advertising campaigns. But it's not just the earning of money that leaves Mr. Krabs in this dilemma, but also the hoarding. He famously sleeps in his money, talks to it like a child, willing to risk his life to save just a single penny. His attachment to wealth goes beyond financial security, as just simply possessing money rather than just using it for good purposes gives him personal happiness. While Mr. Krabs' obsession brings him financial success, the relationships he builds are also put to the test. He has a strained connection with SpongeBob, who idolizes him even though Mr. Krabs underpays him to the bone. Even his own daughter Pearl is annoyed by his stinginess, as he refuses to spend money on her happiness. Additionally, his reputation suffers due to his selfishness. Customers grow frustrated with the extensive pricing, Squidward resents his exploitation, and his rivals find ways to outsmart him due to his fixation on his cash. Through his character, Mr. Krabs shows the pitfalls of excessive materialism, showing that true happiness cannot be found in endless accumulation. But while Mr. Krabs is boasting about his endless amounts of money, what he really should be showing is the heavenly virtue of charity. Charity can show giving away money, but it's much more than that. It's being generous towards others, a willingness to help others and better the world, no matter the cost to your own personal self. A good Samaritan, if you will. And this virtue heavily implies on Luz from the Owl House. The protagonist of this Disney cartoon, Luz embodies charity through her unwavering kindness, generosity, and dedication to uplifting those around her. From the moment Luz arrives in the Boiling Isles, she demonstrates an innate desire to help others. Despite being a human in a world full of witches and demons, she never hesitates to stand up for those in need. Her friendship with Eda Clawthorne is a prime example of her charitable nature. Instead of fearing Eda's curse, Luz actively seeks ways to help her, showing deep empathy and concern for her well-being. Luz's journey is marked by numerous acts of sacrifice. She repeatedly puts herself in danger to protect her friends, whether it's standing up to Emperor Bellows or helping Hunter break free from his oppressive past. Her willingness to risk her own safety for the greater good is a testament to her charitable spirit. After all, charity isn't just about material generosity, it's about spreading hope and kindness. Luz's infectious optimism and unwavering belief in the goodness of others inspire those around her. For example, she encourages Amity to embrace her true self, helps Willow gain confidence, and supports Gus in his pursuits. Her ability to uplift people and foster a sense of belonging is powerful for her character. Through her compassion, selflessness, and unwavering dedication to help others, Luz embodies the essence of true generosity. And her journey serves as a reminder that charity is not just about giving, it's about creating a world where kindness and love prevail. Coming in the middle of our 7 sins, we have now reached sloth. Sloth covers the lack of desire to actually do some work, apathy towards responsibilities, and indifference towards doing the right thing. And who better to represent this sin than the titular cat from the comic strips and cartoons, Garfield. As it implies, sloth is characterized by laziness, inactivity, and a lack of motivation. Through his actions, Garfield's attitudes and lifestyle serves as a striking and somber representation of the sin. Garfield is infamous for his disdain for physical activity. Whether it's avoiding exercise, refusing to chase mice, or spending most of his days lounging in his bed, he epitomizes a sedentary lifestyle. His favorite pastime is sleeping, often for excessive hours, and he frequently expresses his love for doing absolutely nothing. His laziness is so extreme that he even manipulates others, especially his owner John, into doing tasks for him. Garfield also excels in the avoidance of responsibility. He never takes on any duties, whether it's helping John around the house or engaging in any form of productive activity. Even when faced with minor inconveniences, Garfield finds ways to shirk responsibility, often using sarcasm and wit to justify his laziness. Garfield also has a tendency to tie in another sin with gluttony, mixing the two together. He indulges in excessive amounts of food, particularly lasagna, without any concern for moderation or health. His love for eating and sleeping creates a cycle of inactivity, reinforcing his status as the ultimate sloth out there. His refusal to engage in any physical activity, combined with an unhealthy appetite, makes him a perfect example of a sloth. Even though Garfield will never get out of the sin, in a different reality, he would have practiced what is called diligence. Diligence is being steadfast at work. Despite the problems that surface, no matter what stands in one's way, one with diligence will accomplish their goals and stay true to their core beliefs. If there is work to be done, they will do their best to get it finished, and properly. Look no further than our pick for this heavenly virtue, Goku from Dragon Ball Z. Goku's relentless pursuit of strength, tireless work ethic, and refusal to give up makes him a shining example of this virtue. From the very beginning of his journey, Goku has demonstrated an extraordinary commitment to training. Whether using Master Roshi, King Kai, or Whis, he never hesitates to push himself beyond his limits. His willingness to endure grueling workouts, harsh environments, and intense battles showcases his dedication to self-improvement. Even after achieving new transformations, such as the Super Saiyan form or Ultra Instinct, he continues to train, proving that diligence is a lifelong pursuit. Goku's diligence is not just about physical training, it's also about his mental resilience. He has faced countless powerful foes, including Frieza, Cell, and Majin Buu, yet he never backs down. Even when defeated, he learns from his failures and comes back stronger. His ability to persevere through hardships, injuries, and setbacks is a testament to his unwavering determination. A key aspect of diligence is inspiring others to adopt the same mindset. Goku's dedication motivates his friends and rivals alike. Vegeta, initially driven by pride, eventually adopts Goku's work ethic, striving to surpass him through sheer effort. Gohan, Trunks, and even enemies like Piccolo have been influenced by Goku's relentless pursuit of excellence. Goku's tireless training, perseverance in the face of adversity, and his ability to inspire others makes him an ideal representation of this virtue. Through his journey in Dragon Ball, he teaches us that true strength comes not from talent alone, but from unwavering dedication and hard work. His story serves as a powerful reminder that diligence is the key to achieving greatness. Now, let's take a look at the sin of wrath. This is rage that has taken up a few notches, combined with a thirst for blood and a general appreciation for too much violence. They may want to commit violence for their own sake, and can be seen as acts crazy, a sadist, and want harsher punishments that are more than justified. And you may not think it, but a similar cartoon duck has a lot in common with the sin, even if they may not look the part. Donald Duck is infamous for his fiery personality. Unlike his cheerful counterpart, Mickey Mouse, Donald is quick to anger and often loses his temper over the smallest inconveniences. Whether it's struggling with an uncooperative lawnmower, dealing with mischievous nephews, or facing everyday frustrations, Donald's immediate response is usually an exaggerated fit of rage. His inability to remain calm in stressful situations highlights his deep connection to wrath. A key aspect of wrath is impulsiveness, and Donald exhibits this trait frequently. Instead of thinking through problems rationally, he reacts emotionally, often escalating conflicts rather than resolving them. His confrontations with characters like Chip and Dale, or his rival Gladstone Gander, often result in heated arguments, physical altercations, or comically destructive tantrums. His inability to control his emotions makes him a textbook example of wrath in action. Through his frequent outbursts, short temper, and inability to control his frustration, Donald serves as a humorous yet striking representation of wrath. His portrayal of the sin serves as both a cautionary tale and a source of humor, reminding us the importance of patience and emotional control. And speaking of patience, that's the complete opposite of our current sin. Patience is showing peace as a goal, a willingness to forgive and show mercy. In the face of adversity, they may hesitate, but in the end, they will endure stability, reject revenge, and accept the faults of others without prejudice. Donald Duck rarely shows these traits, and should probably need a little guidance from our patient warrior, Samurai Jack. Patience is one of the key virtues of the samurai, characterized by endurance, discipline, and the ability to remain calm. Jack's unwavering perseverance, ability to endure hardships, and steadfast commitment to his mission make him a perfect representation of patience. From the moment Aku casts him into a distant future, Jack is forced to navigate an unfamiliar and hostile world. Despite the overwhelming odds, he never succumbs to despair. Instead, he patiently searches for a way back to his own time, enduring countless battles, betrayals, and setbacks. His ability to remain focused on his goal, despite the passage of years, showcases his extraordinary patience. Jack is evident in his approach to combat and self-improvement. He does not rely on brute force alone. Instead, he hones his skills through rigorous training and discipline. Whether learning new techniques from wise masters or adapting to different fighting styles, Jack demonstrates the patience required to master his craft. His ability to remain composed in battle, even when facing overwhelming foes, is a testament to his disciplined nature. Throughout his journey, Jack encounters numerous obstacles that test his resolve. He faces deception, loss, and moments of self-doubt, yet he never allows frustration to cloud his judgment. His patience allows him to endure suffering without losing sight of his mission. Even when he is tempted to give up, he finds the strength to continue, proving that patience is not just about waiting, it's about enduring with purpose. Jack holds no grudge against any enemy, no matter how much they want him dead. Patience is not merely about waiting for the right moment, but also about persevering hardships, mastering oneself, and remaining steadfast in the pursuit of one's goals. And that's what Jack is all about. He always tries to resolve conflicts peacefully, and creates a sense of stability and community rather than suffering, hostility, and antagonism. Next is the sin of envy, the desire to have others' successes, as well as having hatred for said wins and achievements, and the desire to ruin them. A very grave sin, envy encourages an active and deliberate hatred of others, often wanting to steal others' lives, and the jealousy to fear about losing one's own success. And while this person never had to fear their own life being stolen, they were definitely jealous in watching someone becoming the one thing they were inspired to be. Tai Lung from Kung Fu Panda has embodied that sin tenfold. Tai Lung was destined to become the Dragon Warrior, being raised and trained by his teacher Shifu. However, Master Oogway denies this title, thinking he is too ambitious, leaving Tai Lung bitter with nature, destroying the village, and becoming incarcerated. It makes it worse when he is met with the true Dragon Warrior in Po, thinking that there's no way he got rejected to a chill and relaxed panda. He also blames Po that he only became the Dragon Warrior because of the legendary Dragon Scroll, giving him limitless power. It was only until Po defeated him when Tai Lung felt ashamed and humiliated at the sight. It's evident that Tai Lung's jealousy eventually becomes his downfall, as his inability to accept rejection fuels his aggression extensively, turning him into a villain rather than a hero. His obsession with proving himself results in his imprisonment and eventual defeat in the hands of Po. His destructive nature and envy can lead to ruin rather than fulfillment. Tai Lung has deep-seated bitterness, and his inability to accept others is why the role of Dragon Warrior was never offered to him. It is noted that eventually Tai Lung will turn around and accept Po for who he is, being let out of the spirit realm and have his body and abilities copied by the chameleon. Po was able to defeat her, and before going back to the spirit realm, Tai Lung no longer holds a grudge against the panda, acknowledging Po's stance and promises to see him on the other side with good terms. Tai Lung finally learns humility and kindness, even if his lifelong dream was unattainable. And with that, we have kindness, the opposite of envy. Being good towards all life, kindness is the virtue to wish the best out of everyone, whether times are good or tough. This person will have positive outlooks on life, and will most likely have a cheery demeanor to them. They will more likely have empathy and trust over prejudice or resentment. And the best character to show genuine kindness is Steven Universe. Steven has an unwavering sense of compassion, ability to forgive, and dedication to uplifting those around him. From the very beginning, Steven demonstrates an innate ability to empathize with others. Whether interacting with humans or gems, he always seeks to understand their emotions and struggles. His kindness is not just about being nice, it is about genuinely caring for others and wanting to help them heal. He listens, supports, and encourages those around him, making him a beacon of warmth and understanding. Speaking of the gems, Garnet can keep Pearl and Amethyst away from each other's throats, but Steven actually makes them get along. After all, Steven inherited this from his own mother. Steven's powers are defensive in nature, with force bubbles and a summoned shield. In Steven Universe Future, however, this deconstructs Steven, since everyone treats him as a dumping ground for their emotions, leaving him deeply emotionally messed up, something he doesn't know how to work through, as he only experiences helping others work through their own emotions. It makes sense why Steven's kindness extends beyond individual relationships. It shapes the world around him. He fosters unity among the crystal gems, encourages self-acceptance, and promotes love in all its forms. His unwavering optimism and belief in the power of kindness inspires those around him to be better, proving that compassion can create lasting change. One of Steven's most remarkable qualities is his ability to forgive. Instead of holding grudges, he believes in second chances and redemption. This is evident in his interactions with characters like Peridot, Lapis Lazuli, and even the Diamonds. Despite their past mistakes, Steven offers them the opportunity to change, showing that true kindness is about believing in the potential for good in everyone. Embodying the virtue through his empathy, forgiveness, and ability to uplift others, Steven Universe is the perfect example of kindness. His journey teaches us that kindness is not just about being polite, it's about understanding, healing, and believing in the goodness of others. Through his actions, Steven reminds us that kindness has the power to transform lives and create a better world. And with that, we get to our final and probably the most deadly sin of them all, pride. Pride is characterized by arrogance, an inflated sense of self-worth, and an insatiable desire for recognition and power. Few fictional characters embody the sin as thoroughly as Starscream, the treacherous Decepticon from Transformers. His relentless ambition, refusal to acknowledge his flaws, and constant attempts to usurp leadership makes him a striking representation of pride. Starscream believes he is superior to all others, particularly his leader Megatron. He He constantly boasts about his intelligence, combat skills, and strategic prowess. Despite his repeated failures, his arrogance blinds him to his own shortcomings, making him incapable of learning from his mistakes. He sees himself as the rightful ruler of the Decepticons, convinced that he is destined for greatness. A defining trait of pride is the desire for dominance, and Starscream exemplifies this through his endless schemes to overthrow Megatron. He is obsessed with proving his superiority, often attempting coups that inevitably backfire. His pride prevents him from accepting his place in the Decepticon hierarchy, leading to a cycle of betrayal, failure, and humiliation. Starscream's pride is so deeply ingrained that he refuses to acknowledge his failures. Even after being repeatedly punished or exiled, he continues to plot his rise to power. His belief in his own greatness is unshaken, demonstrating the destructive nature of unchecked pride. His refusal to admit defeat, even in the face of overwhelming evidence, highlights his inability to accept reality. Starscream embodies the sin through his arrogance, relentless ambition, and refusal to acknowledge his flaws. His character serves as the cautionary tale throughout the dangers of unchecked ego and the consequences of believing oneself to be unavailable. Through Starscream, Transformers illustrates how excessive pride can lead to downfall, making him one of the most iconic embodiments of this deadly sin. And with that, we have our final heavenly virtue, and the opposite of pride, humility. Humility is one of the most admirable virtues, as characterized by self-awareness, a willingness to learn, and the ability to put others before oneself. And who can better represent that virtue than the protagonist of How to Train Your Dragon, Hiccup. Hiccup embodies this virtue through his growth, leadership, and ability to challenge tradition with an open mind. Unlike the other Vikings of Björk, Hiccup starts off as a physically weaker and less skilled in combat. However, instead of letting this define him, he embraces his strengths, his intelligence, creativity, and compassion. He acknowledges his limitations, but does not let them discourage him. His humility allows him to grow into a capable leader, proving that true strength comes from understanding oneself rather than seeking dominance. Hiccup's humility is evident in his willingness to question the Viking tradition of dragon hunting. Instead of blindly following the path set before him, he seeks to understand dragons rather than destroy him. His ability to admit that his people's long-held beliefs might be wrong is a testament to his humility. He does not let pride cloud his judgment, and his open-mindedness leads to a revolutionary change in Björk. As Hiccup matures, he becomes a leader not through force, but through wisdom and kindness. He listens to others, values their opinions, and leads with empathy rather than arrogance. His humility allows him to form deep bonds with both humans and dragons, proving that true leadership is about serving others rather than seeking personal glory. Embodying the virtue through his self-awareness, open-mindedness, and compassionate leadership, Hiccup is the perfect example of humility. Through his actions, Hiccup shows that true greatness comes not from pride, but from the ability to learn, grow, and lead with kindness. And with that, these characters represent the deadliness of these sins, and also the heavenly virtues that pursue.